So, good evening and welcome to this presentation of the Spokane Valley Fire Department. My name is Frank Soto Jr. and I'm the Fire Chief with Spokane Valley Fire. And I'm here to talk to you today about our M&O Levy and the department as a whole. So, the biggest takeaway, we've been here for 83 years. This last year, we responded to 23,235 calls. 82% of those were for EMS, and that was roughly 4.7% more than the previous year. In fact, in the last 2 years, we've gone on roughly 26% more calls, and over the last 10 years, we've gone up by 78%. And that's important, and I'll tell you why. Because we haven't grown much in that time frame. The community around us has really blown up. In fact, since 2019, it's grown by 9%. So in that time frame, we've actually lost one of our big response units. So we're roughly the same size department as we were 10 years ago, but with a population growth of at least 9%, like I said, from 2019. Some key information regarding this department. I've always felt that either you're moving forward or you're moving backward, but nobody stays the same. So we're very into quality assurance and quality improvement. And so we're always looking at ourselves and our best way that we can improve ourselves for the public. We are currently one of only 301 accredited fire departments in the world. Only one of 7 in the state of Washington, and the only public agency east of the Cascades. More importantly, we get a rating from the Washington Survey and Rating Bureau that really sets the rates for your home insurance. And this is important because, believe it or not, sometimes we forget how good life is with a Class 2 fire department, which we are. If that goes up, every number that it goes up, and that classification goes from 1 to 10, each point it goes up, your annual bill is roughly going to go up by 10%. So if we go up, from a Class 2 to a Class 4, then that's roughly 20% that your bill is going to grow annually. Also, there's only 6 departments in the state of Washington that are Class 2 or higher, and we are the only one east of the Cascades. This is our response area. Each one of the dots that you see there is one of our 10 fire stations. We have placed them strategically throughout our response area for the most and best impact that we can have. Everything that you see in blue is what we judge ourselves, we hold ourselves to. So that's our goal, is to get anywhere inside that blue in 5 minutes and 45 seconds, 90% of the time. And anything in the lighter yellow color is 5:45 to 10 minutes, and then everything in the darker color is 10 minutes to 15 minutes. I would also like to say that we do serve the cities of Millwood, Liberty Lake, Spokane Valley, and then we also serve the unincorporated areas of Spokane County, to include Otis Orchards, Paradise Park, and Green Acres. This is just a heat map of our area from last year's calls. The higher the call, the more amount of calls that we ran on are highlighted in yellow. So you can generally see the bulk of our calls are, in this centrally located opportunity neighborhood area, but it also impacts Millwood, Liberty Lake, and then over here to the west side of our response area. So what are you getting for all those dollars and cents? And this is probably the area that I really like to talk about, because I believe we are the tip of the spear when it comes to fire departments around the country. The first thing is, if you didn't know it, in 2022 we won the Heart Safe Community Award. That for cities of 100,000 people or more, we were rated #1. We had the best cardiac survival rate. So if you died of a cardiac arrest, your best chance of survival was dying in our response area, because clinically you are dead and we're bringing you back. So from 2014 to 2021, we brought back 116 people. And I want to be clear about that. That's people that were clinically dead, that we got a pulse back, took them to the hospital, and they walked out of the hospital and are living a normal life. We're actually, over the last 3 years, we've been 72% above the total U.S. rate for cardiac arrest conversion. Structure fires, we had 67, so we had a decrease from last year, and believe it or not, that's what we want, right? That's what we have, fire prevention, that's what we're out there, making sure that businesses and the public are doing the right things and meeting all the requirements so that we avoid fires. However, in the 67 that we did have, we did lose 1.5 million in fire damage. However, we were able to save $11 million worth in it. Over the last 5 years, on average, we've been saving roughly $88 million a year in from fires. Wildland fires, we had 78, but more importantly, what we did is we performed 750 wildland risk assessments, and we did a lot of them in this area here because we are the wildland urban interface, and if there's a wildland fire here, things are going to spin out of control pretty quick. So what we did is we went around and really made sure that people understood that they needed to take care of their defensible space. Vehicle fires, 109, hazmat responses, 205, technical rescue and extrications, 49. Water rescues are a big thing in this area, obviously, we have a lot of water. A lot of motor vehicle accidents, rescue task force. I want to talk to you about helicopter rescue. So we're the only fire department in this county that provides helicopter rescue. This year, it says we had 7 requests, but only 2 missions, and that's because a lot of that plays into, the weather, things like that, wind, if it's too hot, there's some things they just can't fly. They did just do a rescue in December. It was down in Walla Walla, Blue Mountain area. We had a gentleman that was involved in an avalanche, and so he did have a broken femur, and he was hypothermic when we got there. He was on his way to death, and we were able to extract him out of there and get him to a hospital, and he's doing absolutely fine. Fire prevention, we've done put in 836 smoke alarms in our community because we do smoke alarm blitzes, and I do want to say that we have a lot of community partners out there that help us in that effort. We put in 89 carbon monoxide alarms, 387 home safety visits, and we've saved 11 lives from 2016 to 2021 that are documented lives that were saved from the smoke alarms that we put into their homes. Investigations, 64. So I will tell you that our fire prevention personnel are certified deputies here in the county, and if you are caught starting fires, we will come after you and we will get you. So we did have 6 arrests this year, I believe, and 13 last year. Permanent inspections, plans review, and annual business inspections, we're out there. We're doing our best to make sure that everything is safe, but we're also making sure that you can operate and that you can open up your business. Community risk reduction. This is probably the one piece where we are really, really nationally recognized. We're continually asked to speak around the country on this matter, and that is because we're involved with everything. Grab bars, bike helmets, O2 thermal fuses, WUI programs, junior fire marshal programs, sunlight program, home safety inspections. So we're out there continually trying to make our community safer. Fire and EMS education, that is not a misprint. We have touched nearly 23,000 students and adults in teaching them things like fire extinguisher training, stop the bleed, hands-only CPR. And that hands-only CPR, you see where that goes into that 2022 Heart Safe Community Award, because they're getting those hands on that CPR, starting that CPR sooner, and that leads to that best quality of life and chain of life, bringing them back to life. Community affairs, that's these guys right over here. They are on top of it. If you live under a rock, then you live under a rock. But if you don't, they're all over social media. We're in the news, the newspaper, radio. I just learned some, these other Facebooks and all. I'm learning all this stuff, and so we're everywhere. And it's awesome because we're not just there to talk about the department. We're also there to talk about safety matters and how to be safer, everything from medical to fire. We're all about our public safety partners. We have interlocal agreements with just about everybody in the area, but specifically we recently lent out a bunch of 23 AEDs to Liberty Lake PD right here, Spokane County Sheriff's and Spokane Valley Police Department. And then we are in auto aid agreements with Fire District 8, 9, and 10, or 8, 9, the City of Spokane, and Cooney County Fire. So how are we funded? That's always a great question, and we're funded two ways. We're funded by a regular fire levy, and then we're funded by a maintenance and operations levy. There's an additional 1.7% of our funding that comes from grants, and it comes from billing for permitting and things of that nature. However, it's a very small number. Our regular fire levy, as you might recall, in 2022, only made up 39% of our total funding, and that was a problem. We needed to have a solvent department. In order to do that, we needed to flip our funding sources of these two, because the maintenance and operations levy is not a permanent levy. We have to bring it before the voters every 4 years. So we were able to do that last year. So this year, some of the rules on a special excess levy, which is a maintenance and operations levy, is just that, is it requires that it goes to the voters every 4 years. It requires a supermajority vote to pass, which is 60%, and it requires a 40% of the voters that were at the November 8th general election to show up and vote, or to put in their voter card. And so again, this is, while we have to say this is a new levy, at the end of the day, it is a replacement levy. You're paying it right now. And all we're going to do is replace it and renew it. In fact, people have been paying for it in this area since 1983. So here's the funding. This is our actual budget. So like I said, over here in 2022, you can see we were at 3961. We got the levy lid lift, and we're able to move us into 68 and 32. Now, the reason it's 32 is because I had told the voters, if you pass this, if this passes the levy lid lift, then our goal was to give back, or in this case, not collect a large number of the M&O money, because that's what this is. This is the $30 million is what we are supposed to get for the M&O through this year. But I told the voters, and I mean it, we're very fiscally responsible, and it wasn't about the money, it was about having a solvent department. So we are not collecting $13.5 million from our voters this year. So, and I will tell you, if you go on the assessor site and you put in your address and your information, it's already in there. I checked on that today. So you can absolutely see the results of that. So in 2022, we were paying $271 for both of the levies combined. And this year you'll pay $221. And again, the reason it's red is that I put that number in red is because it's really an anomaly year. That's the decision that we've done, was to give that money back. I mean, we are cognizant too about the state of the economy. In fact, in 2009 we did the same thing. One of the key takeaways here is going into the new levy cycle 2024 through 2027. The $1.08 on the levy rate is the lowest that it's been since 1988. So, and as a combined levy at $2.58, that's the lowest since 1990. So again, while we are going up from $8 million, there's reasons for that. That funding is earmarked for specific items, and I'll go over that here in the next slide or two. So I did. From the community reaching out and saying, hey, but how much? So we built a little math program, and we're able to put it on here to kind of make it real. So a $500,000 house, and I don't know if this, yes it does. So a $500,000 house, can you see that? In 2022, we were at $1.05 and $1.66. Now, when we got the levy, I used the same number just so you can see the dollar amount. So, so clearly, $1.05 to $1.50, it did go obviously up from $5.25 to $7.50. However, the $1.66 to $1.08, this also went down significantly. So in 2024, all things being equal, and again, I know with the assessed valuations can go up or go down, but trying to keep it where people could understand the money part, 500,000, that the levy rate would actually go down. Your total levy rate would go down by $65. It's actually going down by, the M&O is going down by $290, but obviously there is a growth in the regular levy by $225. But the bottom line is our goal is to make it less, and we are collecting less at 25 million versus the 30 million. And where we got that number from is we did our best analysis, financial analysis of the future. Clearly, nobody has gone through what the economy is going through at this stage, so we did the best that we could in order to get the funding we needed in case the economy does crash. We can still stand up a fire department. Some people have asked me, well, hold on, Chief, what about me? This is my situation. I have disability, or I only have this much money, or I'm older. So believe it or not, the state actually does have a process and a way for our citizens to receive accommodation or an exemption from the taxes. And only 1 in 100 of people who are actually eligible are actually use it. So I would encourage you to reach out if you meet it and see how it goes. It does go to the assessor and they make that decision, not the fire department. In 2019, what we asked for in that levy, we've succeeded in everything that we've asked for. Replacement of aging fire vehicles, as you can see, is right now we've got 2 new fire trucks out. One at Otis Orchards, the other one is at Station 9, and we have another one coming soon. And so we're filling that need. We got Squad 10, the ARU out, which we traded out and updated a lot of equipment, did a station remodel, and are putting in that maintenance facility over here on Parker and Carlin. And that one started a long time ago, but most of this stuff got pushed back because of COVID, so it really kind of got behind the curve. Station 11 was a big question because it was also on the last ballot, and when I became fire chief, I am a numbers guy, and the numbers don't make sense when we're not paying for it. It's ridiculous in my eyes, in my view, and so I talked with our board, and they were in support of that. If I put in a fire station 11 right now, it may average 1 call a day, just because of its location. There's not a lot of people there, not a lot of business there, and so I couldn't in good conscience build that station because that was unnecessary, an unnecessary fiscal drain on our economy and on our citizens. In 2023, what we're asking for the February 14th vote, what we're looking to replace is still 28 vehicles. So our department has gone a long time without replacing vehicles. And of those vehicles, you'll see 25 of them have 121,000 miles on it or more. Plus we have some older ones. So it is what it is. We got backed up in the replacement of vehicles because of COVID, but that's our main thing that we're looking at getting. We're also looking at adding firefighter paramedics and firefighter EMTs. Clearly, when you saw the heat map, there's a location, that opportunity neighborhood, that just really goes nonstop. And what we need to do is get some more units in that area and be able to give those other guys a bit of a break and kind of spread out the call volume. Fire station remodels at 1, 2, 7, and 8. We need to replace our training facility, and it really is bad. It's the tower's 36 years old, and we can't use it. It's been superheated inside, and so we can't burn it anymore because we can't. Our own fire marshal says a no-no. The facility is 30 years old, and it was built. Really, all it has is a conference room. There's nothing else to it. So, and the facility is actually falling apart. And so it's time to get that replaced. When we built it, it was for 6 fire stations and 80 personnel. Today we have 213 people and 10 stations, so we need something bigger that we fit into. More importantly, the training facility, we already own the land, and so it's going to go right next to our new maintenance facility. And the good thing about that is we're going to build it so that we can house a temporary fire station 11 crew if the Otis Orchards area blows up and the call volume starts going out of hand. So we're planning on that as well. Continue to update our facilities and obviously the training of our personnel. So what happens if it doesn't pass? This is really the crux of where we're at. If it doesn't pass, I'm going to have to lay off 66 people. 58 of those are firefighters. I'm going to have to close 3 fire stations, and I'm going to have to shut down 6 response units. So essentially we have 15 response units, that'll go to 9. We have 10 stations, that'll go down to 7. The call volume will not stop. So that's the key ingredient there, is instead of splitting those 23,000 plus calls between the 10 stations, it will now be from the 7. There'll be a reduction in advanced life support services. When I lay off those 58 firefighters, there's going to be a lot in there that are paramedics, and so it's going to reduce our ability to respond in that capacity. There'll be no more auto aid, and that's an important piece out here, because auto aid is about the closest appropriate unit. So it doesn't matter whose area it is. It could be this fire department's area, but we're the closest appropriate unit. With auto aid, we go on that call. And so right now, our auto aid partners go on roughly 2,000 calls, and so do we. So it's an even Steven, if you will. And so that would go away, and that will impact us, because in the next slide or two, I'll show you where that will impact us. Reduction of availability, because we won't have as many people in the field. And we talked about higher insurance costs, because we will go up to a class 4 or 5, possibly a 6, so you're going to see an increase there. And then lastly, we would bring, if it doesn't pass this in 2 weeks, we're going to bring it before the voters in August and November again. So this is real world stuff right here. So again, 15 units, 22 total units available. We have an overdose over here. So if you look at our call volume, 60% of our EMS emergency medical calls are advanced life support calls. So they require paramedics. And of those 23,235 calls, 18,996 of them were for EMS incidents. So 60% of those were advanced life support. So if you look at this, we got an engine here and a private ambulance. We got our crew here, private ambulance. We still have an ALS unit available. We have a BLS unit available, BLS and BLS units available. Over here we have a structure fire. We have auto aid with 2 units, and then we have a private ambulance partner, and then up there we have a basic life support call and a BLS unit that's there. So for instance, yesterday we had 70 calls. So that's over, 3.5 calls an hour, every the entire day. In fact, we had at least one 911 call going on throughout the entire 24 hours. So it's just a very constant day. So if the M&O doesn't pass, this is where we're at. So we're going to have to close Station 9, BLS unit gone. Close Station 5, ALS unit gone. Close Station 4, BLS unit gone. So these same calls, the same scenario, nothing changes on this call. 1 unit and 1 ALS or 1 AMR unit. Up here, we're going to have to take the engine 2 and send it down to the structure fire, and this is one of the 6 units that will go away. So you're only going to have these 2 units and the private ambulance. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that still seems like a lot. Well, there's a reason why we save a lot of lives in cardiac arrest, and it's because we send all the right tools and the efficient force that we recognize by best practices to get there in order to make that life-saving need. We're going to shut down both of our alternative response units, which is Squad 8 and Squad 10. There'll be no more auto aid, so these guys are off the board. There will be no engine 5, as I stated, so the other units will go, because again, best practices says that we have to send 17 people to a structure fire. So what's left? Nothing. So this person's going to be waiting, and right now it's just a BLS call, but if that was an ALS call, if that was an advanced life support call, if that was a cardiac arrest call, then that person is not going to be saved. They're going to be waiting. Right now, while we do have auto aid with Kootenai County Fire, even if we still have auto aid with Kootenai County Fire, it's only for fire. The state of Washington does not recognize Idaho's EMTs, so they cannot practice in our state. So this is the real world of what it looks like. And it won't be unheard of, because remember, instead of 10 stations, 15 units, it will be 7 stations and 9 units. So we're probably going to be running closer to 4 calls an hour every hour. So again, the key takeaways, we're an all-hazard agency. So again, we don't just respond to fires, we respond to everything. You call 911, we're coming. We're investing in our community is growing, and we need to grow with it. This is not a new levy per se. It is a replacement levy on something we've had since 1983. And I can't tell you to vote yes or no, but I can tell you to vote, and vote informed. And that's my job, is to inform you exactly what you're voting.